My name is Joseph Shabarasi. I'm a medical doctor. I practice integrative medicine. I'll give you just a 30, well, maybe a 1-minute background on myself. Integrative medicine is a combination of, you could say, East and West. We do a lot of conventional testing in the office, standard tests that a regular doctor would do, but 95% of the approaches that we use are what would be called naturopathic or natural approaches to treating disease states. So the practice is a general practice that sees an entire range of medical problems, from people who have recurring colds or flus to people who are feeling run down and fatigued, chronic fatigue, Lyme disease, cancer, hypertension, diabetes. So it's a general medical practice. It's similar to an internal medicine practice. I'm a graduate of Georgetown University and George Washington University Medical School in Washington, D.C. My board certification is in emergency medicine, which I practiced for 12 years. So I'm actually boarded in emergency medicine, and I've maintained that certification because I think it's very important to keep my feet in both worlds, though 95% of it's in integrative. But I speak all the usual languages. I speak neurology, surgery-ese, endocrinology-ese. When I talk to my colleagues, we speak their language, and that's what we have to do. So it's really a fun practice. It's very challenging. We see difficult cases. I generally do not see people who've not seen 4 or 5 other practitioners, because most people come because they're having trouble getting better with what they've been trying. So that's kind of a summary of the practice. Now tonight, we're going to be doing a very interesting and engaging subject, which is about weight loss. And we're going to talk about it and walk through it. We're going to have a presentation by myself. We're going to go through some slides. And then JoEllen Giddish, who's our clinical nutritionist, will be speaking about her world to you. And we'll be taking some questions at the end. I will say at the beginning that there's a couple of bennies in coming here. One is that we're going to draw, we have 5 names that have been chosen by my wonderful office staff. Where are they? Where's Irma? Where's Joy?
There were still people coming in, Doctor, so they didn't want to leave it.
They're a great staff. But they'll have chosen 5 people who will get a complimentary BIA, which is a bioimpedance analysis, which is a body composition analysis. That'll be done at the office. If you come over to the office, you can get that done for free. And we're going to have one person up front here at the end of the presentations who we're going to actually do that on. We're going to actually do their fat composition, their muscle composition, their bone composition, intracellular, extracellular water. It's really a beautiful system, because when you lose weight, the question is, are you losing fat weight? Are you using muscle and fat? So it comprises the whole deal. And we'll have plenty of time to ask questions at the end, and I really would enjoy your questions, as would JoEllen. So without further ado, and without me being on my soapbox any further, we'll get this started here. So, looking younger, feeling great, slimming down for summer and forever, that's really the goal. That's myself, Joseph Shabarasi, JoEllen, certified clinical nutritionist. Here's the common problem that I see in practice. Why can't I lose weight? I'm doing everything right. I exercise. I'm very careful about my diet. I take my supplements. I'm more careful now than I've ever been. And I still gain. So let's look at some of the reasons why this can happen. Some of these are self-evident, and some of these are biochemical, and some of these are not so self-evident because they have to do with our belief systems, which we're not always so clear about what we believe in at the time that we do these things. We're working longer hours, eating faster, eating out more. We're too busy. That's true for everybody. Urban sprawl. We don't walk to the store anymore. Who walks to anywhere in Los Angeles? Some people do. Some people ride their bikes. This is Santa Monica. It's very well known for this. Less sleep equals more weight. We'll talk a little bit about why that's true. We're eating processed foods, so you've got low protein, simple carbs from a box or a can, and things like whole wheat bread is not really whole grain bread. It means that it's all composed of wheat, for example, but not necessarily composed of 100% grain, which has been filtered out, and you've got basically a refined carbohydrate. We'll talk about this and why this is a problem. And lack of exercise. And let's look at some of the statistics on this, okay? That actually looks a lot like me during the NFL season. But What percentage of people who live in the United States participated in sports and exercise activities on an average day in recent years? Any guesses?
20.
Close. It's 16%. What percentage of people watch television on an average day?
9.
It's actually about 70%. But it's about 5 times more people are watching TV than are exercising on any given day. Now, this is striking. These are obesity trends in the United States in 1985. And what you're seeing is, if you look at this slide carefully, what you actually see is the following. That down here at the bottom, there's less than 10% is the light blue, and 10 to 14% is the dark blue. But there's nothing over 14% that was documented in this study that was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. By the way, can you see this okay? Mm-hmm. Is that all right? Is the light too much, or is it all right?
It could be more contrast, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if we can knock down the light a little bit in back. I don't know if our friend is still here to do that. But if we can, that would be great. I'll just keep on going. So in 1985, this was the obesity trend. And honestly, to be accurate about this, there was very little gross obesity documented at that time, although we know it existed. I don't think it was included in the study. But look at this. In 2001, 20 to 24% is the dark red, and the orange is 25%, which I believe, is that Alabama? Or Louisiana? That's Alabama. That's Alabama. Isn't that? Yeah. That's where my wife comes from. But, so we've got this. And what's interesting about this is something that was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association this year, 2010. Based on the latest surveys, more than 2/3 of U.S. adults are overweight or obese. That's 2 out of 3 people. 1/3 are considered obese, and more than 10% of children are also considered too heavy for their age. So approximately 1 out of 3 people in the United States today is obese. That was shocking to me when I saw that. I mean, we live in Southern California. Obesity is not as common an issue here as it is in other parts of the country, but we don't realize how common this is. And I've got relatives from back east, and I can tell you that all-you-can-eat places are very common. But this is where what really knocked me out. This was published in 1995 in the New England Journal of Medicine. And what it says is that body weight and mortality, that's death from all causes, were directly related among middle-aged women. So that means that the higher the body weight, the greater the risk of dying. And lean women did not have excess mortality. The lowest death rate was observed among women who weighed at least 15% less than the U.S. average for women. This is kind of like the RDAs. The RDAs years ago were the recommended daily allowances. And what that used to mean was that if you took this much vitamin A and this much vitamin B and this much vitamin C, you won't die. It didn't say anything about optimal levels. And here we're dealing with the same dimensions, because dual meaning for dimensions, but the point is that the average for women is so high that you actually have to be 15% below the average to reduce your mortality risk. So that was pretty staggering for me. Despite this alarming trend, we're still looking for the magic bullet of weight loss, and the next slide will show you the magic bullet for weight loss. So the sad truth is, we got to do our homework. And I wish it was as simple as just exercising more and getting adequate sleep and reducing your stress and doing a good diet. But the truth is, when you have a constellation of certain symptoms, it will not work.